Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host Wally, and today we are on El Camino Real de los Tejas for our final part of the series, where we finally reach Spanish Louisiana. There you see it on the map, all the way from Mexico City to Louisiana. But first, we're crossing the Toludo Bend Reservoir, which is where the Sabine River used to be. You used to have to ferry across, and then one of the places that would help you along the way is at the Fort Jessup State Historic Site. When you reach the site, you get to know a little bit about the Carancos that lived there, about how El Camino used to pass by. It was the site of a village, so it was easy to navigate through and arrive and be able to get food and shelter and supplies and just pretty much just rest from all the travels that you've been doing. It eventually became a fort, so you get to find out a bit more about that history. You get to experience fort life and get to see the little museum that they have there. Part of it concentrates on the military side of it. I think it's mostly the second floor. And then the first floor is more about the area, about the Cado, about the Camino, and everything. So definitely check it out if you get a chance to. Of course, there's mirrors because mirrors were important back then. But now that we're in Louisiana, we're on the final leg of the El Camino de los Tejas. We started in Texas, but really it starts in Mexico City. It was a long, long journey. It was arduous, dangerous, but it had to be made. It had to be done. And coming here to see these sites just sort of makes you marvel at how people did it. Also, I love old rocking chairs because I love being able to tell stories about when I was a kid to people who aren't there. But all these sites are being preserved, which makes me happy. You can sort of drive from one end of it to the other, but I did it in steps. And here is Las Adayas State Historic Site, which is one of the most important places about Texas, not in Texas. Las Adayas is actually the first capital of Texas. So you come here, there's a tiny museum dedicated to it. You get to learn about the area, get to learn about Las Adayas. It is named after a Cadoan tribe. And you get to see how long and how far we've traveled here on El Camino. We're almost to the end. And they don't have any historic buildings, but you do get to see where things were. Like the Presidio was right here. And the soldiers' barracks were right there. I guess they've found foundations and all this other kind of stuff. But you come here, it's just a big open field. It's up on a hill. And you get to just imagine what things were like back then. And that's where the province of Texas, the house of the governor, used to be. And it was an important stop on the Camino Real de los Tejas because, like I said, it was the capital of Texas. And now, after weeks and weeks of traveling, we finally reached Fort Jean Baptiste, which was our endpoint from Mexico City to Louisiana. Now, was during a time when Louisiana was part of the Spanish Empire, so it's kind of like a weird time in history where Louisiana wasn't French. And I think I need to find out a bit more about that because it's kind of a weird time having to do with Napoleon and all these other kind of imperial powers. But you come here, you get to find out about the cattle villages that were in the area and then the fort that they built. You get to walk the grounds. Of course, it's right next to a river, which was important during that time. You had to have a water source, and most of these rivers were the water source or an important creek. And then they built a replica of what the fort would have looked like back then. And I myself love forts because I love seeing these big old pieces of wood with points on top of them. But You come here, you get to walk around, see some of the cabins, see how they lived back then, see how life was like without air conditioner and actual walls, no windows, nothing. But this was the point where they would need to come. They needed communication between all areas of the empire back then. So that's why you see El Camino Real de los Tejas passing right through important areas like San Antonio, Nacogdoches, Austin, Bastrop. Um, Now we're here in Spanish Louisiana, and we get to see the ending, which is good because after weeks and weeks of travel, you're just finally tired and want a nice, safe place. And that's where the fort was, a safe place. So you get there, you deliver your packages, your letters, and whatever, and you say, "This is what the King of Spain wants." And I guess that was the end of your trip. Anyways, thanks for being here and coming along on all these trip with me, and come check it out. Also, isn't it cool that the fish stuff in Louisiana is actually about Texas? Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this long trip, this long history trip. It's something I hope to do more of, more history videos, because I do love the history of Texas. So thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.